Welcome to Fake Love and Flying Monkeys, the podcast where fake love is exposed. I'm Nova Gibson and I am your host. I'm the principal counsellor at Brighter Outlook Narcissistic Abuse Counselling.com.au. This space is dedicated to helping you reclaim your worth and understand the impact of toxic relationships with suspected narcissists. You deserve clarity, healing, and freedom from the pain of fake love and flying monkeys. So please leave a review and grab a copy of my book, Fake Love, Understanding and Healing from Narcissistic Abuse. Let's uncover the truth and take back your power. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Fake Love and Flying Monkeys. One of the most common and painful questions I hear from my beautiful clients who come to see me in my narcissistic abuse recovery practice is, do they know? Nova, does the narcissist know they're hurting me? Surely they can't know. Who could do this intentionally to another human being? They can't be aware. Or maybe they really just don't think what they're doing is wrong. If they don't think it's wrong, then it's not really intentional, is it? And you know what? They did tell me that they didn't have a good childhood. A lot of bad stuff happened to them when they were growing up. Do you think that's maybe the reason they treat me so badly? I keep thinking to myself, if I can just get him to go and talk to someone, see a therapist, and process all of that childhood stuff that he keeps bringing up as an excuse, then maybe one day we'll be happy again like we were in the beginning. Sound familiar? When you've been racking your brains trying to think of some reason why they can be so cruel to you. And you know what? It's a fair question to ask yourself or your therapist. Do they know that they're hurting you? Because normal people don't go around treating people like that consistently over space and time. And you want to understand how this person who professes to love you on some days and acts like they hate you on most days, you want to know whether they are doing what they're doing to you that is destroying you. You want to know if it's intentional. And painfully, the reality is that most people who come to see me ask me these sorts of questions. And the reason they are asking these questions is because if this behavior from someone you love is intentional, then that makes it even more cruel. And it means that this whole relationship was a facade. It means there's no hope if someone is intentionally putting you through that sort of torture. And that hurts. That hurts a great deal. And it is far easier for our brains to go down the route of looking for some kind of reason, some kind of excuse around why their behavior that hurts you so much is not intentional. And of course, when you're trauma bonded to your abuser, when you are so dependent on them and so depleted that you couldn't leave if you wanted to, then thinking that the behavior is not intentional gives you some kind of hope that maybe they can change. Maybe it's not even abuse. So I'm not going to get into the diagnosis of NPD too much in this episode. But guys, just remember that you are the experts in your trauma, because the likelihood of getting a diagnosis is so slim and most often limited to when it's court ordered, simply because narcissists don't think there's anything wrong with themselves. So given all of your research and looking at the fact that these are consistent patterns of behavior over space and time, they are not isolated incidents, then you are with someone who is causing you pain, and there is a predictable cycle there, and you are viewed by that person as someone who is there to please them, who is there to meet their needs. You are not an equal. You are a tool to feed their ego and avoid that shame-ridden, vulnerable true self of theirs. And to avoid turning inward and addressing that weak and wounded true self, they need narcissistic supply, and they get that narcissistic supply through your reactions. And when they have the power to hurt you, to bring you to your knees, that is top-notch narcissistic supply. I often think they enjoy that far more than they do in the love bombing stage, when you're reflecting back to them how wonderful they are. That narcissistic supply that you give them is potent, and it is their life force. So my answer when someone asks me, do they know what they're doing, Nova, which means they're doing it intentionally, my answer is always an emphatic yes. However, if you have been engaging in a behavior for your entire life, or for most of your life, then it stands to reason that there is going to come a point where you just don't even have to think about that behavior anymore. It is just second nature to you, and it becomes something that you do, or a way that you think without even thinking about it, if that makes sense. You basically go on autopilot. It's kind of like when you've been driving for 20 or 30 years and you think to yourself, when you get to somewhere, get to work in the morning, I don't even remember the drive here, because you were thinking about what you're going to do during the day, what you were going to cook for dinner that night, and it was just so automatic. And that's what it can become like for the narcissist. They have a lifetime of practicing how to manipulate and dupe others. So there comes a point, you would think, where they don't actually have to sit there and think out the plan 2 seconds before they do it, because it is just so automatic to be cruel and abusive and manipulative. So if their behavior is kind of like that, if they are going on autopilot, does that make it still intentional? Yes, absolutely. You got in your car that day and you intentionally drove to work. It is irrelevant that you were so rehearsed and so skilled that it was just something you didn't have to think about at all. You drove to work intentionally. You got in your car, you turned on the engine, you followed all the road rules, hopefully, stopped at red lights, and you went and parked in the normal spot that you park in when you go to work. Now, the reason I wanted to bring that up was because people who ask me this say to me, so you mean right when they're doing this, they're actually thinking to themselves, I'm going to do this to hurt them right now. And much of the time, the narcissist is actually thinking at that very moment how they're going to hatch a plan to abuse you and confuse you. But do they think to themselves in their little brains, I'm going to gaslight Nova right now, and I'm going to confuse her, and she is going to act crazy, and then I'm going to flip it all around on her and tell her she's the abuser in this relationship. Maybe some do, but I don't really think that most narcissists sit there and actually have those thoughts as they're gaslighting you or just before they're about to gaslight you. I think it is just something that is so automatic and they are so good at it, but they know it's going to confuse you. They know it's going to hurt you. They just don't care. And the reason you know that they know what they're doing and it's intentional is because they can switch it on and off like a light switch or a tap, depending on who is watching. And also because the majority of narcissists that I have heard about from the thousands of clients I have spoken to and all the research that I've done, the majority of narcissists have reasonable, if not very high IQ. And what that means is they know right from wrong. They don't have any empathy. They have the emotional intelligence of a 2-year-old, but they know what hurts people. They just don't feel it themselves, but they know damn sure that it's going to hurt you. And one thing that I don't think many people think about too much is the fact that you're telling them over and over again, you're hurting me. This is ruining our relationship. They're seeing you distraught. They know what tears mean. They certainly know what tears mean when they're coming from you. They're not the same as their crocodile mechanical tears that are only designed to manipulate people. To the narcissist, tears are only good for manipulating people, or if you're crying, that means you're weak and pathetic. So if you are distraught and upset, then you are either weak or pathetic, weak and pathetic, and or you're trying to manipulate them. But I think for the most part, the narcissist knows full well the value of your tears. They just don't care because they don't have any empathy. They know the outcome of their actions. They know what they're doing. They know what the end result is going to be, but it doesn't affect them. They have no empathy and they just don't care. Not caring has nothing to do with being oblivious to what they're doing and the consequences of their actions. They know very well what are going to be those consequences. So in a nutshell, that's the painful truth, guys. They know what they're doing. They just don't care. Narcissists use your emotional reactions as a way to gain control of you. They study you. They are a predator. They study you to see what hurts you, what makes you doubt yourself, and what gets you to perform or react on cue in exactly the way they want. If they bring you to tears, then that's evidence of how powerful they are and they've won. If you're angry, then that's proof that you're the problem. If you're silent, then that's a big green light to keep pushing your boundaries until you finally react in what we call reactive abuse. So it's not that they're unaware that they're hurting you. It's that they see your emotions as tools to boost their ego. And when you ask that question, do they know that they're hurting me? They do. And they're okay with it. But here's the most important thing I want you to remember, everyone. If they are hurting you consistently, and these behaviors, they're not isolated incidents. They happen again and again and again. Then it doesn't matter whether it's intentional or not. It doesn't matter that it's the result of some childhood trauma, because no one deserves to abuse you. And it is not your job to risk manage the abuse and to try and fix them. It is your job to get out, to run, and to heal. At the end of the day, impact matters more than intent. If someone consistently hurts you, refuses to change, or twists the facts, keeps contorting the truth, then that is abuse, regardless of how aware they are. And that brings us to the end of another Fake Love and Flying Monkeys episode. I hope you found that episode insightful, guys. They know exactly what they're doing. As I said, they can switch it on and off like a tap, depending who's watching. I think that's your biggest clue. Now, if you would like to have a one-on-one Zoom counselling session with me, then please just see my website link in the description, where you will also find a link to my best-selling book, Fake Love, Understanding and Healing from Narcissistic Abuse. Now, if you would like to support the channel, we need all the support in the world. The best thing you can do is to leave a rating and a review, and to share. And if you'd like to do anything else, then there's a link there where you can buy me a cup of coffee. On that note, it's bye from me for now. Until tomorrow's episode, remember, you are worthy of love, and you are worthy of so much more than a lifetime of fake love and flying monkeys.